morning, everyone. I am finally back. I'm back. Maybe temporarily. I don't know. I'm back. I'm here. Let's share this baby out and let's see who's here. Welcome to the show. Hello, Liberty Justice. I'm just going to share this out to a few people, see who is here. Ooh, oh, oh. Yeah, I think that should be good. Sensibly. Okay. Hi, welcome to the show. Gloria's in the house. Okay, so today happens to be episode number 107. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot to me. It's a lot. How far in the Bible? I am on 1 Samuel chapter 26. So I'm still in the Old Testament. We're pretty much talking about the story of Saul and King David, the first kings of the children of Israel. So I have to say, it's been interesting because I've been watching The Chosen. I watched the House of David. I've been watching a lot of different videos, and I pray for discernment. I really do. I pray for discernment because I'm wondering, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but I'm wondering why are things all of a sudden coinciding with each other? So, for example, like I've never heard of the Ethiopian Bible until recently. So, what did I do? I acquired the Ethiopian Bible, which this Bible has 88 books as opposed to the 66 books the King James has. So, obviously, this Bible has a lot more books added to it. I started reading some of those books, and there's two issues that I have. The one issue is obviously back then, and even to this day, all those books are included within the Bible. Now, remember, the Bible is not one book, the Bible is actually a library which happens to have little books in it. So, at any point, as a quote librarian, you can go and either add books to the library or take out. And that seems to what's happening with the evolution of the Bible. Because, okay, you've got the King James has 66 books, the Catholic Bible has 71 books, the Ethiopian Bible has 88 books. If you go to the slave Bible of the Civil War, this was the one that they handed to the slaves, that's only like 23 books. So, I mean, it's kind of interesting what you determine the Bible. If you go by Jewish, you have the Torah, which the Torah is only the first 5 books of Moses. And a lot of people say, well, that's automatically the Old Testament. No, because the Old Testament has a whole bunch of books afterwards. The Torah is completely something separate on its own. It just happens to have the first 5 books of the Old Testament. Good morning, Nicole. Oh, you were thinking. Yes, I'm finally here. I know I'm late today. A lot has been going on. But the topic right now is I'm really trying to pray and discern because as I read the Bible, I personally feel within my heart that there are things in here that either society added to or changed in inappropriate ways. And people will be like, people can instantly say, well, that's heresy. You can't say that because this is God's word. But we already know that things have been changed constantly. I mean, when I refer to the Ethiopian Bible, which is basically the oldest Bible that is true to the original form, there are differences compared to here. Even when I read King James, my version that I'm reading is a 1977 version. There are things in here that are different from my 1955 version and from the versions from 1980. And I mean, some of them are just like subtle differences, like just little differences here and there. But others can really have a very impactful meaning depending upon the translation. And I know that's part of the problem is translation. This has been translated time and time and time again. And I find it interesting that when I have a question, which this makes me scared. I mean, this is scary. When I have a question, Amazingly, that question is answered by some sort of TikTok video, YouTube video, ad, or something like that. Good morning, Luke. You read the whole Second Peter today? That's great. Welcome to the show. Right now, I didn't get to reading the Bible yet. I'm just talking a little bit because I'm so concerned in my heart about certain things, and it's starting to like I'm trying to find the words, but it's like a lot of people are so set in the ways. And it's interesting when I talk to different people how their interpretations, and I mean, even me questioning the Bible can offend a lot of people. When I say, okay, I'm reading this line, and this line could mean this, could mean this, could mean this, it could mean this, that to some people are very, very offensive. But to me, that's how I analyze things and come to my own agreement. You could, like, you as an audience, you don't have to agree with me. You could think I'm totally wrong. That's not, but like, for example, something as simple, and believe me, I'm doing a lot of talking and soul searching with Chris, with family members, with people around me that are both religious or non religious, depending upon who I'm talking to. And like a simple concept, a lot of Christians will tell me the Trinity, there's only one God. It's one and the same. Father, Son, Holy Spirit is one and the same. But then I talked to Chris and he's like, what are you talking about? I says, the Trinity. He says, yeah, there's a Trinity. He's like, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. I'm like, yeah, it's one and the same. He's like, no, it's three different. I'm like, so I had to stop. I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute. I says, you agree with me? He's like, what are you talking about? Agree with me? I says, I see it as three separate components. He says, yes, it's the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. I says, but that's not what Christianity's teaching. He's like, of course it's teaching that. I'm like, no, it's not. And he was actually confused by what I was talking about. I says, Chris, they're considering it one and the same, that there's only one God. Even though Jesus was the Son of God, it's still. And he's like, that doesn't make sense. I'm like, I know it doesn't make sense. That's why I'm getting confused when people tell me that the Trinity is one and the same, when even I see it as. Deuteronomy 1 says, to stone an undisciplined. Okay, what do you know something, HR? I'm going to answer your question. What do I think about that? I think it's utterly disrespectful, stupid, and completely disruptive that you would come into my live just to. So, what I would ask you, seriously, because I have a theory about this, like people like this, I really believe are bots. I think that no matter what your topic is, somehow a generated bot is going to come in to ask a totally ridiculous question in order to derail the live, so that this way it engages in anger, it engages in divisiveness, it engages in some sort of disagreement. And notice that person doesn't say anything else. It was just the one question. What do I think of that? And now I'm talking to this person. So, HR, I'm talking to you. Are you even in the? No, they're not. They're not. They're not even responding. They're not even talking. So I really, really believe, and I mean, I'll probably get in trouble for this. I really believe, and thank you. Vote for Jesus. It's Satan. Ignore them. I do ignore them, but I also have I have a rule with my live where in the beginning of my live, which this is the beginning opening, I open up the floor, because sometimes I have a topic. Sometimes it's like, okay, wherever the topic leads. Like today, like I said, my topic simply was my confusion about different versions of Bible. Like I'm really looking for discernment. And I would love that to be the conversation. But instead of that being a conversation, you just get one random person that comes in. Oh, so what do you think about children? And that seems to be the recurring theme. Like atheists love to come in, and that's why I don't think they're people. I really, really think they're bots. Either they're bots or it's some sort of mechanical obsession within a person's mind that instead of engaging with people in an intelligent debate, they're just going to slam in the aha moment that says, see, I caught you with an aha. And I think it's ridiculous. That's why I really think they are that it's complete. They're trying to veer. Exactly. Hermeticus mode, always be prepared to give a reasoned defense. Yeah, but they don't even do that. They just they throw out the question. And but yes, I guarantee they try to veer it. They will try to sway the conversation away from God's will. I guarantee it. And here's the thing. I think what's interesting about it is my question right now is one of those fence sitter questions. Because I admit, every day when I read, when I learn, when I explore, I'm getting more and more information. My beliefs, I mean, I almost want to say my belief system is not this. There are people who are like this, and I almost want to feel if they're like this in their faith, then they're robots. And yes, you can have complete Christian robots. I'll call them Christian robots. They are people who'll be like, mine is the only way. There's no other difference. I believe in this. That's exactly it. I believe that it's almost, I want to say it's like an up and down wave. Um, you don't have to respond to everything. Just let them remain when they have placed themselves. I know I like to try to give some respect because sometimes even the trolls do bring up some really good points. They throw quite exactly that exactly, Luke. They could throw questions about that, and it just derails them. Block and mute, and they if they get it, I do vote for Jesus. I definitely do. When it gets out of hand, I do block it. I think those kinds of people are truly lost. They are hurt deeply within and believe it's God's fault. Yes, because here's another thing I'm going to throw out. If you notice, when it comes to, I don't even know if atheist is the right word, but I'm going to use atheist. When it comes to atheists, and I'm just going to categorize, why is it always attacking Christianity? Why wouldn't atheists go into a Muslim live and start saying that about Muslims? Or why wouldn't they go to a Buddhist live and start doing things like that? Like why won't they attack other religions for some of the things that they're saying? Why is it always coming into the ones that talk about Jesus, that talk about God, that talk about the Bible? I mean, I'll be honest, I've never called, I mean, I don't call myself Christian. Yes, I'm a believer. I believe in Christ. I believe in the Bible. I believe in God. Right now, I'm still learning what exactly does that mean because I'm starting, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm starting to really dig into the fact that there's a more broader story to the Bible that you really have to dig deep in order to understand the symbolism. I really believe that. Deep roots of wait, let me go back. Deep roots of rejection and abuse are painful when you begin to allow God to remove them. Interesting. I gotta read that again. Deep roots of rejection and abuse are painful when you begin to allow God to. Well, because you know something. I mean, I'm gonna. If I'm reading this correctly, I'm the type that does that well. I call myself. I live in a world of boxes and bubbles. There's two things. There's a box. There's a bubble. Um, Bubbles for me is when I look out at the world. They're thought bubbles. I have all these thoughts. There's this, in little bubbles. And I see little bubbles all the time, and there's all these thought processes going on. At any point, I could talk about a specific bubble. Here's a bubble, let's talk about this. And it may lead to another bubble. And that's what ends up happening in my world of bubbles is that, and that's where my ADH comes in because sometimes I jump from one bubble to another without staying on track. That's my mistake. But then I have boxes. And boxes are those conversations where this bubble is too disturbing for me. So, you know something? I'm going to take this bubble, I'm going to put it in a box, close the box. The box is going to go on the shelf, and we're going to leave it there. We're not going to address it. At any time, I could probably come in and open up the box. But when I open up the box, I know it's going to be painful. So, I do realize that when you start exploring things that cause negativity, trauma, abuse, past regrets, past mistakes, and when you start exploring that, It is very painful. It is hard to, and then particularly if you have resentment that you don't understand that there's a higher power in your life that can help you through that, where instead you see God as an enemy or as a non existent being. Because the interesting thing, I think the atheists who are angry with God actually believe there is a God. They just don't want anything to do with them. It's not that they're denying saying there's no such thing as God, which they may say there's no such thing as God, but I find it more that they know there's a God, but they want nothing to do with him because they're so angry with him. SG says, yes, God gave them over to a depraved mind. So they do what ought not to be done, and that is painful. Absolutely. And there's, it's not, I haven't necessarily found, well, actually, I found it a little bit when they talk about sexual desires in the Bible, but there is a Buddhist saying where it's men's suffering is caused by man's desires. And that's a Buddhist saying, but on a biblical aspect, when we start talking about desires, it does cause the demise of man if you think about it. A lot of times, I mean, gluttony is one of the things, and people talk about gluttony all the time with me. But the idea is when you overindulge in sex, you overindulge in alcohol. They talk about people who drink too much. If you overindulge in activities you shouldn't be doing, gambling, that is going to cause painful suffering. That is going to cause, and I mean, I almost want to say it lowers your. I like to talk about frequency sometimes, but yeah, it lowers your spiritual being. It lowers your happiness. It brings you down a notch and makes you depressed. I mean, we're in a society where we love that little spike of like the endorphin rush, that little spike of excitement. But then when it crashes, we have to find something else to, and that's where addiction comes in. That's where erratic behavior comes in. Philip, what are your thoughts on AI? That is a great question. And I mean, I would love to get into that discussion. I mean, we could get into that discussion right now. Part of me believes that first AI is way more far advanced than what we're exposed to. Okay, from what my understanding is, AI has been around for like 70 years. Okay, they've been doing this like 70 years ago. I think we're only seeing, because as society is catching up to the technology from behind the scenes, um, I think what they're doing now is they're using AI so that you will not be able to determine what is real and what is not real. That is my belief, and I got to be careful. Hopefully, it doesn't. I mean, in some ways, AI definitely helps our lives. It really does. It helps our lives greatly. I think, and dare I say this, that it could be a conduit for demons. Maybe nobody has ever said that, but I really wonder if AI is like a bridge between the demonic realm coming in electronically and affecting. Because, all right, AI is not just a simple computer robot doing commands. AI has infiltrated our lives in everything. I mean, we're talking everything AI, and people don't realize how much it is. I mean, even to the point of putting like a fingerprint on your phone to open up your phone, scanning facial recognition, um, the what do you call it? The sensors on streetlight. You know what I mean? Like all this is all different designs that all comes together, and it's getting more and more. Yeah, automation is considered AI. Exactly. Proverbs 1:7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and discipline. Nicole, that's actually, I like that. I'm going to write that down. Proverbs 1:7. Okay, I just want to write that down because that's a good That's a good saying. Fools despise. Okay. Oh, so you think so too, Phillips? Yeah, I do. I use AI completely, but at the same time, I don't trust it. Automation is considered AI. Okay, we're debating the role of AI. So you have to be careful when it does the AI summary, because if it's a controversial topic, it starts. So I got to be careful with this topic. They already banned me a while ago. So hello, Ava. Welcome to the show. Okay, so Matthew 9. According to your faith, be it unto you. So in other words, Second Peter amazed me because Peter considered Paul's writings to be deep in Second Peter chapter 3. Even if it's not true, you believe it's true for you. Okay, wait. According to your faith, beyond. Okay, so to say what Nicole said, even if it's not true, if you believe it's true for you, that coincides with what I keep saying about perception being reality. And that is a very, very interesting thought if you think about it, because we've already seen that people who perceive things differently, it is their reality. And to give an example, and I think this is a great example, is the white and gold dress or black and blue dress. So is the dress white and gold or is it black and blue? I mean, rationally speaking, if I said to you, okay, is white and gold and black and blue the same colors? Everybody would be like, you're crazy. What are you talking about? However, society is seriously split down the middle between that dress is black and blue and that dress is white and gold. And it's not just that. There's other examples. There's the example of auditory hearing, Laurel or Yanni. If you ever heard that one, it's just a loop. What do you hear? Do you hear Laurel or do you hear Yanni? Obviously, that's two separate words, but perception wise, like me, I don't hear Yanni at all. All I hear is Laurel. That's all. That's all it's on repeat is Laurel. But yet people will say Yanni. Um, That's very important to understand. Our mind is so powerful. Absolutely. Some people say the universe blesses them, especially when we speak of it. Our words are a container for power. Now, I want to talk a little biblical because you said something very important. Especially when we speak it, our words are a container for power. Now, remember, the first thing that the Lord said in the Bible, spoke it, let there be light. He had to speak it. He gave a command. Now, I will say this, and I know this is going to upset people. I'm sorry. I am seriously, seriously starting to believe, and the more I read about this and the more I study, and I know this is going to upset people, I really believe that the Lord of the Old Testament is not necessarily God Himself. Okay? I'm going to say that. The more I'm reading it, that's why God spoke the words into existence. He didn't just think or snap his fingers. Sade says, are you Christian? No, I'm a believer, but I do not consider myself a Christian. Um, okay, Sadie's, these are ridiculous questions. If you're just going to ask those questions, I'm not even going to answer them. But I don't want to offend anybody because here's the thing that really came to me is I really believe that is the reason why God sent his only son, Jesus, is to basically say to the world, hey, look, you have been following this dude, the Lord, the entire time, who's not me. I'm sending my son to fix this mess because this is the way I look at it, and you guys can tell me I'm wrong. And I mean, this really has me on the fence. Is the fact that Jesus came, he didn't come just to reiterate the Torah. He absolutely didn't come to earth and say, okay, guys, you're getting a little off track. Let me come. We're going to get back to the Torah. We're going to get back to the rules, the commandments, and this and that. We're going to get back to exactly the way my father set it up. No, he basically said, my crucifixion is going to fulfill this testament and promise that you gave to the Lord. I'm fulfilling it. I'm crucifying it. I'm washing away, starting a brand new slate. Because now, although the Lord gave you the promised land in the physical form, I'm now giving you the promised land of the spiritual form. Okay, Sadie's, I'll answer. Yes. Not being LGB is off track, but derailing a conversation which has nothing to do with LGBTQ and trying to get, yes, that is being off track. You're totally derailing a conversation where we're not even talking about that at all. We're talking about something else. Zizek, what we're talking about right now is my belief that God Himself sent Jesus down in order to fix the world of the mistakes that the Lord did. Because the more I'm reading it, I do not believe that the Lord is God Himself. I'm sorry. I really, really don't believe it. And I mean, I know a lot of people will give you like, that's it. I'm done with this girl. It's heresy. She's a non-believer. No, I'm reading this word for word, and I almost want to say to people, how can you not see, particularly Genesis chapter 6? I mean, I always go back to Genesis chapter 6 and 7. Why would God give one set of, and even with Noah, why would God give one set of rules to Noah and the Lord give a second set of rules to Noah? Which rules are we following? Are we following God or are we following the Lord? Why is there two separate rules? Why would we even need to bring Jesus into the picture at all if people are following the Lord? I mean, even up until Jesus, there were the Pharisees, there were the people who, there were the tabernacles. They're still doing what the Lord wanted to do. Why all of a sudden is things so bad that He has to come down and say, no, we're not doing this. We're throwing this out the window completely. Here's your New Testament. So, okay. So yeah, exactly. It is off track because we're talking about the Bible. We're not talking about LGBTQ. We're talking about the Bible. Zizek, I am reading the King James Version. However, in addition to the King James Version, I have the Ethiopian Bible. I also have the parallel Bible with 4 different Bibles that I cross reference as well, particularly when it's a topic that's a little bit confusing. So now, this is my open dialogue section. And sometimes even my open dialogue can get so massive that I don't even get a chance to read the Bible. But eventually, when we get to the Bible, we're going back to 1 Samuel and talking about Saul and David. So, God came and spoke to me Himself and said that you're doing too much. Okay. All right. So, if God came and spoke to you that you're doing too much, or are you saying that I'm doing too much? Whatever. If you're doing too much, then listen to Him and stop what you're doing. Simple as that. Okay, so there are many versions of the Bible. We're having an educational conversation to help Mel learn. Absolutely, thank you. And remember, there are currently at this time 450 versions of the English Bible alone. This is not talking about Greek, Hebrew, or any other translations in any other language. Just in the translation of English, there's 450 Bibles that you could choose from, and each of them say something different. So, I mean, that alone, that there's that many books, like, I mean, even here, this parallel Bible, I got 4 different Bibles, and each of these 4 different Bibles, as I go line by line, will say something completely different. That alone should be alarming. What do we listen to? Uh, Mitchell says they were not following God. I thought they were following God. You're talking about during the times of Jesus. They still did sacrifices. They still went to their tabernacle. They still obeyed. I mean, I would highly doubt that the entire world was not following God. I believe that there was indeed lots of people who were devoted to God. The only thing is, like I said, I think that's where the message that people keep missing. And maybe, like I said, maybe I'm completely wrong, but the more I'm reading, the more I'm coming to that conclusion is that Jesus was sent from God to fix the mistakes that the Lord brought upon, because the Lord was a demigod. As a Catholic semi Orthodox, Jesus is not good. Interesting. So you say Jesus is not okay. So Jesus is not good because he was erasing the Old Testament. You want to go back to the Old Testament about the Quran. What about the Quran? All right, God didn't make it confusing. Man did. Thank you, 21. Absolutely. I agree with you. I don't think I think in a lot of stuff God was straight to the point. Even in the parallels, like it's just I don't think people are open enough to see how the parables and that's where I go back to this. Is your faith like this where you never question anything, you just believe exactly what it is, it never changes and you do the same thing over and over and over and over, or does your faith go like this? And I believe that your faith should go like this, up and down, up and down. The reason being is question, learn. Because I know, okay, I know so many Christians that have never read the Bible in their life. And I'm like, and I say to them, I'm like, how can you believe in something that you've never read before? And I'm like, well, I go to church, I pray, I I have a conversation with Jesus. I and it makes me wonder, it's like, but do you not know what you're worshiping? Um is the Bible for the whole world or just for the Israelites? Good question. Now remember, the Bible is not one book, it's a series of books. I really believe that the Torah was for the Israelites. I believe that the Old Testament was for the children of Israel. I believe the New Testament is for, so I really believe that everything else is, I believe that it's for different groups of people. I really do. One Bible, Old King James. But Jerry, there's more than one Bible. There's 450 versions. Okay, you need to listen to him and just chill. Listen to who? I'm curious, and you shut me out. I'm shutting you out because you're saying ridiculous things. So no one shut you out. Exactly, no one shut you out. Don't get offended. I'm going line by line. So just because I don't answer you right away, if I'm talking, I'm not scrolling. When I scroll, I'll get to you. I'll get to you. If you continue being disruptive, then yeah, you're going to be shut out. You look like you read with your finger. Okay, what difference does it make whether I read with my finger? I have bad eyesight. It's easier to. I wish you cared about your health. You know something? You're wishing for something that I already do. So, whatever. Well, I didn't feel love. Does she love the LGBT? Okay, wait. Hold on. All right, so Sadie, Sadie's is just causing a disruption. But you know something? Let's talk about this. First of all, Sadie's, why should I absolutely love you? Seriously, never met you, have no idea who you are, don't even know if you're a real person, and you are choosing, instead of coming to me and respecting me as a person, as an individual, the first thing you're slamming into my face is your sexual orientation. So that's literally like going up to, and I mean, for me, that's the definition of crazy. So your actions to me is absolutely crazy and uncalled for. To me, that is like going up to a stranger on the street that you're just passing, getting into their face and screaming, "Do you love me because I'm LGBTQ?" And I will look at you and say, you know, someone get the hell out of my face. That's exactly what it is. So no, I do not feel love for you. Now you could say, oh well, she's not a Christian. Love thy neighbor. Love comes in many forms. You know, something I will respect you. And for me, I am respecting you. I'm respecting you by acknowledging you, by talking to you, by engaging in a conversation. However, you're turning it that every single thing I'm saying is some sort of against the LGBTQ. So, you know what that tells me? That tells me that you have your own internal issues about a label that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. You have internal issues about a religion that, if you don't believe in, why are you even here discussing this? So, and you're saying that you don't feel love. Your feelings, honestly, have no concern about me. That is your own issue. I would suggest maybe counseling or therapy, because if simply me talking about the Bible triggers you not feeling love and triggering the fact that you have to ask me whether I love the LGBTQ, that makes no sense. That's pure craziness in my mind. Okay. We love everyone, but we're not discussing sexual. Exactly. And you know something? I'm going to say this. I don't love everyone. I'm going, Nicole, I'm going to disagree with you. I don't love everyone. What I do is I will respect everyone. I will give everyone a chance to be respectful for me, and I will be kind and giving, but I will not love everyone. For me, love is a sacred thing, and people would need to earn my love. You don't necessarily need to earn my respect, but you do need to earn to keep my respect. That's how I look at it. Um, Christians are the kind of people what more sin does. That doesn't make sense. Christians are the kind of people what more sins does. Okay, I think there's something missing from that line, but it's important because get out of it. Okay, church people. Jerry, I have no idea what you're trying to say. That makes no sense either. Okay. Exactly. You keep your sexual preferences private. There are no, you see, you know something? I'm probably going to, there's 29 messages. I'll get to the messages, but I'm going to say this. I supported the LGBTQ community big time, particularly when rights were not equal. And I fought for equal rights. And I'm not trying to boast about my history, but I legitimately fought in the equal rights of the LGBT community. And at the time, it wasn't a big alphabet. It was only just LGT. That's all it was. It wasn't all this other crap. It was simply LGT. Anyway, um, so I fought for rights. What ended up happening was equality wasn't good enough. Now it's not only that they want equality, they want to infiltrate and disrupt everybody as a look at me. Because, like I said, it's the same phenomenon. Would you necessarily go out in the street to a complete stranger and scream into their head, guess what? I'm gay and I like to have sex with the same gender? And I would look at like, who cares? I don't care what you do in your bedroom. If you want to do whatever you want to do in the bedroom, that's fine. That's private. I don't need to know. So you screaming at me about LGBT is just a ridiculous thing. Once again, we love everyone. Okay, yeah, I'm going to say I don't love. Sorry. That's the one thing I'm going to disagree with you, Nicole, but I don't think Sadie screamed. Well, you know something? To me, that's how it comes across. It absolutely comes across because, like I said, I was talking about a specific topic, but Sadie thought that it wasn't important what my topic was talking about. So she's just gonna, or he or she, whatever, is just going to interject and say, "We're talking about this because who the hell cares what I'm talking about? We want to talk about the LGBTQ community." All right. Uh, Rainbow. Okay, we're getting rid of Rainbow. We're not even going to talk about that. Okay. All right, let me go back. Sorry guys, I got to catch up with what's going on. And I'm behind, so let me catch up. If I missed anything, I will. Okay. God loves you, and this is to Sadie. God loves you. That's all should matter. You're looking for approval from man instead of God. Interesting. Absolutely. Looking for approval from man instead of God. And here's the thing. God will always approve you. It really, I mean, even if you think about it this, even if you're living in sinful ways, if you talk to God, if you pray, if you repent, if you like purge yourself of the negativity in your life, God will be there with open arms. And it doesn't matter what you call him. If you want to call him God, Jesus, the Lord, whatever. Like I said, right now, my opinions right now, I still have a lot of ifs about the Lord. I can't wait till we get to Jesus. I actually want to skip to Jesus, but it's like I'm still iffy about the Lord. But you know something, that's me. As I read more, as I learn about it, I'll come to a different conclusion. But right now, that's where I'm questioning. Um. Okay, hold on. All right. Okay, so Sadie says, "Well, I don't like men." All right, so you don't like men. So, all right, so instantly you don't like men, but you're expecting people to love you. There's a problem there. Okay. Um, and that's why I said. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't love everybody. That doesn't make me a bad person. That doesn't make me it. But to me, love is a more deeper rooted relationship. And yes, I do have love for different things. Like for example, I could say I love chocolate ice cream. I love my cat. My cat is my child. I love my partner. I love, you know what I mean? It's, I could say those things. There are different degrees to love, but I'm not going to say to a stranger that I love you. I'm sorry. Um, are you? Yeah, I had to delete crate as soon as Rainbow said that. I'm done. I'm not dealing with that kind of conversation today. So, oh, thank you, Nicole. You love my honesty. How is Nicole rude? Nicole is absolutely not rude. She's saying the same thing I'm saying. I already said that you were just looking for attention seeker because you completely derailed the conversation. So you want to be an atheist? How could you? Simple. You just don't believe in anything. If you want, okay. So here's the rules to being an atheist. You ready? Have absolutely no belief, no motivation, no higher power, no nothing. Just live your life in misery, in depression, in questions, in sorrow, and in your own negative cycle. Look for absolutely nothing for growing, for improving, for sending out any respect or love to anybody, and that is the elixir for atheism. So yeah, simply, I mean, you want to be an atheist, then fine, be an atheist. An atheist is somebody who just has no joy, has no motivation. So I mean, I always say this: I don't care if your God of choice is not God of the Bible, but there should be some sort of quest or some sort of motivation that you want to better yourself, that you want to ascend, that you want to get on a spiritual plane where your existence is not only the physical realm, but also the spiritual realm. Because obviously, there's something within that's creating life. And how you choose to live your life is ultimately up to you. That's where free will comes in. You could choose any way to live your life. You want to be an atheist? Go ahead. You want to talk nothing about LGBTQ and live your life as a sexual novelty. I'm going to say that because if sex is more important to you, that is your only existence, that you're defined by who your sexual preference is, that's fine. I don't choose to live like that. I choose to live as opposed to existing. And that's why I take every day as a precious gift, as a joy, as doing something productive. Sunny Boy says, I like fish and chips. Fish and chips are good too. Personally, I think Sadie has triggered you in some way that has gotten you a little worked. Okay, so you know something, even if Sadie triggered me in some way, can I not be passionate in what my opinions are? Jesus came for the sinners, not for the righteous. Um, I almost want to say, is that the reason he came, or was that a byproduct of the real reason he came? You know what I mean? Was that a systematic thing that helped the situation? Because, like I said, I can't wait to get to Jesus because I really, really want to explore how Jesus addresses his father, how Jesus addresses the Old Testament and the old ways. I also want to look at how Jesus talks about what he expects from people. Because I have this inkling, like I'm going to say this, I really believe that the Lord is not, I really, my God of choice is my girlfriend. Okay, so see right there, you can make your God of choice your girlfriend, Okay, what's going to happen if your girlfriend no longer is your girlfriend? If your girlfriend, something suddenly happens to your girlfriend, if things don't work out, you can make your God of choice. I will say this: I did that to myself, where I made the man in my life similar to the ultimate ruler and God in my life, and I realized that that was the worst mistake I ever did. So, doesn't mean that because I had a mistake, it's going to happen to you. But if you're going to put that much power in a relationship, particular relationship, which a lot of religions, not just this religion, a lot of religions are totally against, then that should be something to think about and analyze as far as what made you to decide that you're LGBTQ. What are your motivations? Why is there such a detachment from men? I mean, it's something to think about. Takes offense is a choice. I'm far from rude, but you're being inconsiderate. No, thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that. People created the concept of God because they couldn't deal with what's happened around them. Now, did they, Ava? Did they create the concept, or is there really is a God? Because I would say if you don't believe in God, then how do you believe that we got here? What do you believe is keeping you alive? What created everything? I mean, do you really believe that it was nothing more than just this random Big Bang? Then I'll go back to that. If it's the Big Bang theory, then what was the catalyst of the Big Bang? What started that? Oh, see, Spoonie, have you heard of gluttony? It's like I said, it's the same spammers. Um, something to call. I mean, something like that. It's going to be a one word thing. It's going to be they say one word and then they're never going to speak anything again. Nikki, I'm female and God separated me from my girlfriend. Man is for women, vice versa. Okay, I'm not attracted to men the same way you're not attracted to women. It's a choice, love. Okay, fine, it's a choice. But bear in mind, your choice that you are making goes against nature, goes against many religions. Um, I mean, I could go on and on, but I'm just going to say that. No, God does not exist. We are here from evolution, science. Okay, so you don't believe in God, Ava? Then no offense, why are you here? Why is being gay a sin? Because, like I said, it goes against nature. You can't have two women come together and create a baby. You can't have two men come together and create a baby. And yeah, it's absolutely a choice. Don't be deceived. Don't be deceived. Exactly. You're making the choice to purposely go against nature. Oh, Big Bang was okay. So teach me, Ava, science. So then, what caused the Big Bang theory? What caused it? What was the thing that caused the? Because didn't that sound a little bit like God commanded, "Let there be light," and there was light? Rocky's like, "Holy moly!" So Ava, you're saying it's not a choice? Now, see, something. I'm actually going to derail my own conversation. Wouldn't a woman that's infertile also not make a baby? Yeah, but she's still a woman. Science does not contradict the power of the creator. Science proves God's power. It's not a choice. Okay, so I'm going to cut this conversation. You guys want to talk about LGBTQ? Go elsewhere on that, because here's the thing. It absolutely is a choice. You have a choice every moment to sin. You have a choice to go against things. If you feel like it's not a sin, then here's the thing. Why are you here arguing with me? Seriously, like what's the motivation? So what I'm gonna do? Guess what I'm gonna do? Because this always seems to scatter everybody. This always seems to scatter everybody. So we're gonna open up with a prayer. I think praying is very important because you know something. Right now, Everybody needs Jesus. And I'm going to say an individual prayer to each and every one of you. I think that's exactly what we need, because we need to purge this. And particularly you, Sadies. Sadies, I think you need absolutely a lot of prayer. You need some prayer, some guidance. You need some, because, like I said, you have found it more interesting to come into my live, derail my live, promote your sinful thing, argue with me. So I'm going to pray for you. Same thing for you, Ava. I'm going to pray for you. And guess what? As I pray for you, I'm even going to do this. I'm going to mute you both out. You could still, you're both more than welcome to stay. And maybe you may want to listen, but you know something? I'm muting you both out because both of you are completely ridiculous. So if anybody wants to join in, let's join in for a prayer. So, dear Heavenly Father, I am so thankful that every day you allow me the chance to live, to breathe, to spread your glory and your joy. At any moment and every time we do this live, we are always challenged by negativity, by darkness, by evil forces, and those who are so miserable with their lives that they cannot enjoy, embrace, and understand the joy that you give. I ask that you really extend your light to each and every one out there. Whether they believe or not, it doesn't matter from my point of view, but I pray that you will allow them to understand the beauty that's around the world with them. I hope that they can understand clarity, that they can understand the wisdom and understand you in all your joy. I pray if there's anybody out there who needs some extra help and extra guidance, that you really spread your protection with them. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, so Ava, have on to you. Believe. I hope you enjoy your life. Okay, so yeah, obviously I muted them because, like I said, they're more than welcome to listen. They're only muted temporarily. They'll probably come back angry, being like, "I can't believe you muted me." Blah 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 blah. So that to me will just show that they are just here to cause trouble, and that's what it is. They're just here to cause trouble. All I know is for years, I will say this, and then I'm going to end this conversation. For years, I have fought for LGBTQ rights. It wasn't even LGBT, it was just LGT back then. But I fought for rights because it was my belief that no matter what, everybody had the right that they should be treated equally, even if their sexual orientation was different. But you know something? That's what the problem is it wasn't good enough to be equal. One has to be overpowering to another. And you know something? I'm not going to sit here where people are going to demean me, that they're going to put me down. I've been reported. Oh, how scary, you reported me. Okay. So you reported me for praying. Here, watch. I'll probably get banned again. But you know something? That's fine. They want to report me, not a problem. They're just afraid of the truth. And I gave them the respect. I gave them the time. I answered every single question that they had. But you know something? Look, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's just, and you know, somebody said, "Oh, she's triggering you." Yeah, let them report you and then just come back. You're right. They're afraid of the truth. Exactly. Nobody can handle the truth. So, do trees talk? Absolutely. I will say this. Absolutely. They do. It's just, are you able to understand it? Are you able to feel it? And are you? I believe every living thing has some sort of communication. Because, I mean, think about this fish. Fish don't talk. Fish don't talk, but they still communicate. How is it? They communicate in other ways. Oh, you're gonna laugh at that? Yeah, even Paige said they definitely do. And I mean, there's been countless studies where if you take a plant and you speak positively to, do donkeys talk? Yes, they do in the Bible. Mozzie, you're out of here. Something, it's going to be one of those days. There we go. All right. So, yeah, Paige, I agree. They definitely, trees definitely do talk. It's just, it's a different language we don't understand. You give your plants love and talk to them, people think you're not. See, I don't think that's nuts at all. In fact, that's what it is giving them positive encouragement will make them grow and thrive. And it all has to do with sound and frequency. And I mean, a lot of this doesn't necessarily get talked about, but yet it does get talked about. Because what is one of the things that the Bible talks about? That the angels are constantly singing. It's all about sound, it's all about frequency. Exactly. Um, Everything has a way of communicating. Absolutely. And Neela says, "Don't let people get to you." Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Neela. Sometimes it does get to me, particularly the reason it gets to me is because I feel like this is my show. I talk about anything. I allow anybody to have any discussion, even if it's a heated discussion. But instead, every time it gets heated, it turns into a personal attack on me. I give them my honest answer, I give them my opinion, but that's not good enough. So my honesty and my opinion is not good enough. It then has to turn into a personal attack on me. So it's like if they're not prepared to listen to the answer, I mean, if you're going to ask me, is LGBTQ living in sin? I'm going to answer absolutely. It is a sin. It's against nature. That's my opinion. However, they can't accept that. So as a result, they turn into. I mean, the only reason I said that was not that I'm just saying it to spew it. It's that was the course of the conversation they wanted to go. They elicited an answer for me. They got an answer for me, and then they got all pissed off because they didn't like my answer. That's exactly what your grandma taught about frequencies with plants. Yeah, plants like need positivity, and it's not just plants. Your pets, your animals. Um, I think, I think even us in general, we need positivity and love constantly. It, I would say that if these people went around spreading positivity and love instead of spreading hate, violence, divisiveness, and sexual orientation, things would be completely better. But they don't do that. I would much rather somebody coming in talking about the unity and love and positivity than talking about who they decide to be sexually attracted to at night. Hello, Ava. I absolutely talk to my plants. I tell them how pretty and strong they are, and they love music. When people start to get to you, take a deep breath and remember the devil is sending them. Yeah, I guarantee that. And that's where we started talking about AI, which is interesting because all of them came in when we were talking about AI. I really believe that AI is a conduit for demons. I really do. I think that's the artificial intelligence, that it's not artificial, it's actually being fueled by demonic forces. That's what I really believe in. Yeah, they want to shut me up. It's right. Question, is the devil real? I absolutely believe in evil. I believe in the devil. Oh, hold on. Interesting. I'm now getting my little puzzle, which means I'm being moderated. So I got to be careful what I say. Okay. I do believe in evil. I do believe in demons. I do believe in the devil, but I question because as of right now, we have not met the devil in the Bible. We haven't met the devil. People automatically say that the serpent in the Garden of Evil is the devil. I'm debating that. So I want to see what the biblical definition of the devil is. And if I'm not mistaken, there's only a few references. Um, so when we get to it, I don't know. But yes, the devil is real. I just don't necessarily believe how they portray it being the red Satan guy with the pitchfork and that sort of thing. Um, Absolutely, the devil roams around like a lion seeking someone to devour. Now, see, that's I don't want to say lion. I mean, I understand the symbolism of that, but I definitely believe that the devil, dare I say this, Everything has to have opposites. In order to have opposites, that's how you can determine what sways one way versus another. So God is the ultimate good. I believe the devil is the complete and total opposite. There's light, there's darkness. So that's where I think the devil resides in. Where God is trying to give unity, love, togetherness, the devil is trying to do chaos, destruction, darkness. That's how I look at the devil. So when you say roams around seeking to devour, that's exactly what the devil wants to do. He wants to destroy, he wants to disrupt, he wants to divide, he wants people ignorant, blinded. He wants people not to know the truth, not to know anything. What have you studied about AI? Why should I study anything about AI? I just started listening to the Old Testament, and I have to be honest, it's very confusing. I'm curious, what you think is confusing, if you want to talk about that page, because for me, what makes it confusing, and please, and that's why I said I know this upsets a lot of people. I really, really believe that the Lord is not the actual God. I think God sent Jesus down to fix the mistakes that the Lord was trying to run around, trying to be like pretend to be God, and he really isn't God. That's my because here's the thing, and I mean I could go into so many. There's so many references, but we already know the Bible talks about multiple gods. Whether they're false gods or anything doesn't matter. But the fact is, the Bible keeps referring to Moloch, to Baal, to Asherah. To There's so many different gods that they keep referring to. Just because they may be false gods or they may be not powerful doesn't negate the fact that they are gods. And I'm wondering, because the Lord is constantly referred to the God of Israel, the God of Israel. He's not the God of everybody, he's only the God of Israel. So it makes me wonder, and please forgive me, is there multiple gods and there's this hierarchy of gods? And that's why the Lord was so jealous, because even in the Old Testament, he says, my name is jealous, for I'm a jealous God. What does he, if he's the supreme God and the number one God, what does he need to be jealous about? Now, people keep saying, oh, well, he's jealous because people are not worshiping the worship. Well, yeah, if there are other gods and people are worshiping other gods, yes, he could be jealous, but that doesn't negate the fact then there are other gods. So that's something I keep battling with. And it makes so much more sense to me that the real God would send Jesus down to erase this chaos that the Lord is creating. So that's the only reason why but I would love to hear your opinion on why it's confusing. The thief comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Being educated is important. We fight in the spirit, not the flesh. What is the difference between the devil and the demon? Same thing. I would think the devil is the God himself and the demons are the underlings. It would be equivalent to God and angels. That's how I look at it. Doesn't mean that's the case, but God has no opposite. So would you say that God is the opposite then? I think there always is an opposite. In order to be one, you need to there has to be another as well. So you mentioned AI being of demons or something to that effect. Have you studied anything with AI? Yeah, just because I believe in something, and I do believe in something, I think it's a conduit of demon. Have I studied anything? No, I haven't. But I do believe that AI is, while in some things it's beneficial, on the whole, AI could be disastrous for an entire civilization. Oh, this is why Paul said women shouldn't teach. Oh, always, they always have to go back to that. The first commandment mentions God. So exactly, there's gods. AI doesn't need to be studied. It creates deception. It can be good and bad, but not worth of attention. Exactly. Gods of death, he says, go ask your gods. Maybe they're asleep. Symbolic for there is no other gods. Okay. It was a question for the host, and I did answer. But you know something, just because you ask a question to me doesn't negate the fact that other people can answer it too. That's what a conversation is. It's not just all about me. This is a floor. You all have talk. That's wait, what did I see? That's mainstream. Hold on. That's mainstream scholarly opinion. I want to know why she thinks demons are associated with it. Okay, I already told you. I That's my belief. I think demons are associated with it because I do not believe that a computer is just coming up randomly with these answers as artificial. I think there's something to it that is fueling it, similar to what would fuel our lives. Because technically, if you really want to get really out there, technically we could be AI and we don't even realize it. Think about that one. We have some sort of life force that's keeping us going. We have a circuitry of nerves, a motherboard. We have some sort of life force, our blood, which is the fuel. So you can literally say that humans are AI. So yeah, I do believe that demons are associated with AI. I will answer whatever I want. Exactly. This is a group discussion. Nicole, you're more than welcome to answer. Stoic, I'm not going to answer that question. I told you I haven't studied AI, and I'm not going to study AI. Just because I have an opinion doesn't mean I have to take a course on AI. So, ChatGPT, you can learn whatever you want about the Bible. I want to disagree with that because even with ChatGPT, I have found a lot of mistakes depending upon how you frame the question. And it's very interesting, particularly Google. If you frame a question one way and then ask that question but frame it in a different context, but it's the same exact question, you're going to get a different answer. You really are. I know people are awful. I tried praying for them. So you know something? I'm sorry, Stoke. You're gone. I can't deal with this today. What translation do I have? I have the King James version. I have the Ethiopian version. I have the parallel version. I have a whole bunch of There's like I have a total of like 16 Bibles here that we could refer to, but I do read from the King James version. Um, yeah, people are awful today. I tried to say a prayer, but I get a lot of verses off chat. Well, okay, getting getting information is fine, but when you start asking questions about the meaning of it and then change it, that's what's going to happen. And it always goes both ways. And remember, Google is set up as an algorithm to give you the answer that they want people to hear. When you start asking questions on other platforms and on um, other ways of information, you'll be surprised as to how the differences will happen. You think Jesus is God only way to heaven? Um, Jesus said to get to my Father's kingdom is through him. But here's where I get in trouble. I think there's more than one heaven. It's just called something different because every religion has their form of heaven. They just call it something different. So Buddhists go to Nirvana, Muslims go to Jannah, Vikings go to Valhalla. Um, Completely different places, or is it one and the same? That's something to think about. Yeah, Nicole, don't come here act like Stokes gone. I mean, I get to the point because that's what it is. Once you start, this is the part that annoys me. Is like I said, they come in to completely derail the conversation. I give them the respect of allowing them to derail the conversation by talking about the subject that they want to talk. And then if they don't like my opinion or my answer, then it instantly turns into berating, being disrespectful, making fun of. So Paige says, I have no idea. Yeah, exactly, Paige. There's 450 versions of the English version of the Bible. There's 450 that you could choose from. The reason I went with the King James is because King James was something that was embedded in me by my grandma. Like she said, King James is the one and only Bible to read. She was a very strict Christian, very devout, very strict, way, excuse me, way more fanatical than I can accept. So, out of respect to her, because even though I was the I went to church. I was the revival kid, that sort of thing. I never actually read the Bible. So I'm reading it in honor of her in some ways, seeing, okay, why was she so fanatical? What is it that's in here? Why is it? And plus, I'm also with Chris. We're going to get married. We're going to make our vows before God. I want to know, why am I making a vow before God? What is it actually going to mean? So that's one of the reasons why I'm reading the King James version. However, in addition to the King James, I'm reading the other versions, and you're going to find a lot of differences. So I almost want to say, and this is a personal preference, for me, King James version is like reading Shakespeare. So if you like that Shakespearean tongue, then read King James. If you like it toned down, then I would say read one of the living or the standard ones, because at least that puts it in modern day usage of words. If you really want to go way back to the beginning, read the Ethiopian Bible. This one will shock you. But we also have to look at the history of King James. Now, supposedly, King James, not supposedly, King James also authored occult books. So it's interesting. He translated the Bible, but also wrote occult books. He also was a closeted homosexual. So it's very interesting that the Bible that Christianity is based on, the origins of the story of who translated, has some really colorful details about it. So, so Paige, I would say suggestions. Definitely, it depends on what your comfort level is, but the Living Bible, the Standard Bible, the King James. I mean, those are the ones that you're going to find. Um, do you have an NRS? I do, somewhere. Check out Joyce Meyer. She has written 100. Yeah, Joyce Meyer. She is very interesting, powerful evangelist. I mean, I actually like Joyce Meyer. I will admit I haven't read her books. I remember watching her and going to her revivals when I was younger. So, in that case, Jesus would be lying who says he's the only way and warns of other gods. Okay, whatever. Thank you. Well, also remember this: heaven is for people who believe in heaven. Moksha is for people who believe in moksha. Jhana is for people who believe in jhana. Nirvana is for people, you know what I mean? So the point is, maybe not everybody is going to go to heaven. It depends on what you believe in. Atheists, they don't believe in heaven. Maybe they want to go to hell. I mean, people protesting kings, but people follow a book one allowed. A book one allowed. Okay, whatever. That doesn't make sense. King James is a very bad. Actually, I'm going to agree with you, Cam. Like I said, when I look at some of the stuff that's said in here, for me personally, I really believe things were added in here that should have never been added. Joyce Myers has an amplified Bible, and it's very helpful. She's in her 80s, and well, exactly, because like I said, when I was, and this is going back in the 90s into, I mean, I would see her. She was on TV. I mean, she's been around for ages. I mean, she's up there in age, but she's fantastic. Yeah, we already said that. Nobody. We know about King James. Look at their face when they're getting nailed. What are you talking about? Incredible testimony? Yeah, she does have incredible. Is coming to save you, so oh, thank you for the thank you, Paige. No, I do hope. I mean, I will say this. When you start the Old Testament, this is what I warn, be prepared to be shocked. I mean, now I understand why people tell me start with the New Testament. But if you start with the New Testament, you're not going to understand the impact and the importance of Jesus. However, like I said, I'm really, really going on the side of the fence that Jesus was sent here in order to correct the Lord. Really believe that. And I mean, the more I read, the more I see the duality, the more I see, because the Lord, time and time again, is all about punishment, about generational cursing, about violence, And I mean, yeah, in a way, I'm defending all these people. How could you defend a God that is a baby, whatever? I'm not defending because my belief right now is that is not God. Like all these instances where he's killing people for no reason at all, because a lot of people were hit in the crossfire. I think there's more to the story. And as you read the banned books and you read the Ethiopian, more of that story is exposed and is starting to show a bigger picture. And it does show a bigger picture that there's more than one God, and what this whole thing is behind the scenes is a battle between the gods and of good and evil. People don't believe in God, but I do. Okay, well, welcome to the show, TikToker. Shot, definitely wording is very confusing. It is. And like I said, there's going to be a lot of things even I couldn't believe in. Psalms and Proverbs are extremely helpful and powerful too. I know. I can't wait to get. I okay. I know people refer to Psalms and Proverbs all the time. I can't wait to get to that because I really want to explore that. Um. Okay. Do you believe in more than one God? Yes, I do. I do. The God of this world had blind the minds of them which believe not. See, interesting. Think about that for a second, Nicole. And that can be taken two ways. I don't know what the exact quotation is, but the God of this world blinded the minds of them which believe not. So that could be taken two ways. Either the God blinded people where they couldn't make a determination as to whether it was God or not, or the God of this world blinded the people completely that they didn't see that there actually was a God above them who's not him. So you see how that can be taken two ways. And I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to promote confusion because I'm confused. I mean, I'm the first one to say I am completely confused. Yes, yes, baby. I am confused. But I'm learning and other people are learning too. And I'm not trying to dissuade whatever somebody's personal belief is. What I will try to challenge is if your faith is like this completely. The same thing, same belief, no questions, actual acceptance, as in there's no thought onto how to make your faith better or stronger or any type of growth, then to me that tells me that you are a religious robot. I don't see myself as a religious robot. I see myself constantly, it's like, okay, let's talk about this. Let's analyze it. Let's look at this because this could really be meant differently. What does it speak to you and what is your understanding of it? Um, second, is that where it's from? Second Corinthians 4:4. Baby, come on. Let me write that down. Second Corinthians. Saint Michael. What faith are you? Okay, I've said this numerous times, but I'll say it again. I was born. My father's side was Catholic, and I was baptized. Went to a Catholic church and stuff like that. But my mom's side was born again Christian, and I lived with my mom. And they would take me to Christian churches. They would take me to revivals. They would take me to various churches. When I got older, I left the church completely. And not only did I leave the church completely, I turned my back against God completely. I became an atheist. I really did. I had no belief. I had anger. I had resentment. I was one of those. I'll be honest. I was one of those people that keep coming in and attacking me. That's why I see right through them. It's not that I'm seeing right through them because of my hatred. I'm seeing right through them because those people were me. The LGBTQ people, that was me. That was, but you know something? I turned my life around completely. And I'm allowed to turn my life around completely. But in turning my life around completely, I also bring lots of questions because Catholicism, Christianity, slightly different. They do have a lot of crossovers, but it's like, okay, what am I to believe? And I'm in a Christian household right now. The man I'm choosing to marry is religious as well. Now, it doesn't matter to him whether I believe or don't believe, but to me, it's important. It's absolutely important to me. And if I'm going to make a vow to him before God, I myself need to make that vow because for me personally, this relationship I'm in is my end all. This is really, that's my final, like, all in. So I don't consider myself attached to any specific faith. However, I am a believer. I do believe in the Bible. I do believe in God. I do believe in Jesus. I'm still questioning right now about the Lord. It's talking about the devil. Oh, Second Corinthians talks about the devil. Okay, I thought that was the one beforehand about the God of the earth. Okay. Um, do you believe in Jesus Christ? Yes, I do. Do you believe he is the Son of God? Yes, I do believe he is the Son of God. I don't believe he's the Son of the Lord. Um, I grew up knowing absolutely nothing, no religion, no church, no God. So, you know something, Paige? That's actually interesting if you don't mind me saying. Because what that means is you were not, and I'm hoping I'm saying this right, you were not pressured into a belief system by your parents and expected to follow them. So by not knowing anything about the church, religion, or this and that, you actually have a advantage because you yourself can make your personal choice. You can choose, okay, am I going to keep in the ways that I'm not going to believe? Or do I look at the world around me and say, you know something, there's a lot of things that I can't explain, but can be explained through religion and through belief? Is there something that brings you joy and happiness when you look at it? And that's, and I mean, I'm almost saying, I'm almost envious because for me, I personally walked away from religion because of a lot of things that happened in the church and a lot of things that happened to me as a child. And I'm not going to get into that. You guys can only imagine the bad things that they say to church. Well, guess what? That happened to me. So I'm not going to get into that. But I turned my back from the church out of anger, hatred, and resentment. And maybe there was that little bit of me that never wanted to leave. And it's interesting because even when I talked to Chris, he said that he walked away from the church as well, but he never walked away from God. I says, well, the difference is I actually walked away from God. I became so angry with God. I became like I had such rage that even people talking about religion around me, and I almost feel, I mean, I could feel like the demonic forces. It's like people talking about religion. I just became so enraged that I wanted to punch them or shut them up or curse in their face. And that's exactly what happens now with people who are non-believers. When you start praying for them or talking to them, it's like chalkboard scratching to their ears. They don't want to hear it. All right, let me go back because I missed a couple of them. What do you mean the Lord? God is the Lord. It's a total, it's a totally different conversation, and we keep talking about this, St. Michael. But my point of view right now, and I'm just going to give a summary. I do not believe the Lord in the Old Testament is God Himself. I think He's a fake, He's a sham, and that He's pretending to be God, and that is why God needed to send His Son down to correct all the mistakes. Because if God is sending His Son down and the Lord is God, then what would happen is he would be trying to teach the same thing. He'd be trying to drill into the minds that this is what my Father wanted. This was never what the Father. That's why we had to wash away everything. That's why we had to start a New Testament. That is why we had to correct all this chaos that was going on. So that is a controversial thing, but the more and more I'm reading the Bible and the more and more I'm reading alternate text in regards to this, yeah, I'm going to say that the Lord is not God. He is a God, but not the God. And I know people right off the bat can disagree with me. That's fine. Maybe my opinions will change the more I read, but right now I strongly believe that's the case. Melanie is learning. She has questions. That is, yeah, exactly. God will reveal it in time. And you know something? It may be that this is part of my journey. That it's like, okay, I'm going to question that this isn't God Himself, and something is going to stand out and be like, how could you be so silly, Melanie? And but right now, that's not the case, right? And bear in mind, Michael, this is the first time I'm reading the Bible, so I'm only on First Samuel chapter 26, which is, I mean, I've read that much. Still have a lot more to go, and I mean, even to right here, this is this much before we even get to Jesus. So I always ask, okay, what was so bad that happened in all these chapters that God had to send His only Son? And to me, because even at this point, even with Jesus, people are still following the old ways. People are still adhering to the Torah and to the laws. They're still doing it. So why bring Jesus into the picture and now say everything that you're doing is? So for me, it tells me that there's something wrong with the story. Okay, makes sense. I love listening to everybody's point of view, so I can learn. Exact page. Thank you. If there's one, in fact, hold on. Can I? Wait. There we go. I'm pinning that. Boom. That right there. I love listening to everybody's point of view so I can learn and make my own decisions. That is the key. If there's anything I want to teach, and that's why I used to say it could be this. I do that all the time because just because I say something doesn't mean that that's accurate. I could be completely so off the mark. It is up to you to determine what do you really believe, what makes sense to you. Old Testament was a lot of killing, absolutely, and that's why I don't understand if we go by the Trinity, that Father, Son, Holy Spirit are all one and the same, then how could the Lord here be Jesus here? They're two completely different personalities.